Have you ever felt caught between two versions of yourself? One version feels familiar, predictable, comfortable, the person you have always been. The other version keeps calling for something different: growth, change, transformation. A future that feels possible, yet uncertain. And somewhere between those two identities, tension begins to appear. You know who you are, but you are no longer certain that you want to remain there. You know who you want to become, but you are not fully certain how to get there. This is one of the most common forms of identity conflict, not a conflict between people, but a conflict within the self. Part of the mind remains attached to established beliefs, habits, expectations, and familiar patterns. Another part is drawn toward new possibilities, different ambitions, and unexplored versions of identity. Both feel real, both feel important, and both compete for influence. This creates cognitive contradiction. The current self seeks stability. The future self seeks expansion. The current self values familiarity. The future self values growth. The current self wants certainty. The future self requires uncertainty. As these competing identities collide, the mind begins searching for resolution. Questions emerge. Am I changing for the right reasons? What if I fail? What if I succeed and become someone I no longer recognize? What if I leave behind parts of myself that once felt important? The deeper the transformation feels, the stronger these questions often become. Because identity is not simply what we do, identity is how we understand ourselves. And changing that understanding can feel psychologically threatening, even when the change is positive. This is why personal growth often creates discomfort before it creates clarity. The conflict is not always about choosing the better path. The conflict is often about deciding which version of yourself should lead. The familiar identity carries history. The emerging identity carries possibility. One offers security. The other offers potential. And the mind struggles to fully commit to either. As a result, people often feel trapped. Not because progress is impossible, not because change is unavailable, but because multiple versions of the self are competing for psychological authority at the same time. The tension remains unresolved. The direction remains uncertain, and the person stands between who they have been and who they may eventually become. Because sometimes the hardest transformation is not changing your circumstances. It's deciding which version of yourself deserves to become your future.